Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to the Brothers Grime podcast. And now, your hosts, Brandon and Randall Witherspoon. Enjoy the show.
What is the point of animals?
My first name is Beelzebub, but my friends call me Beels.
That's great.
You were saying?
Like, what is, I mean, other than, like, providing food for those who want to eat animals, like, why do they exist? What is the point of animals? You know what I mean? Especially, well, maybe, like, well, obviously companionship and whatever, but, like, think about, like, insects.
What's the point of anything?
Well, I don't know. That's true. I don't know. But at least we can think about stuff. Like insects, they don't really serve much of a purpose. They don't really like...
Oh, they do.
What do they do?
Feed fucking Venus flytraps.
But what do they do for us?
Contribute to the ecosystem?
Like in some small portion,
hey, man.
I guess.
Don't get all high and mighty on me over there like you've got this big purpose to serve. You're no better than a Venus flytrap.
Yeah, actually,
stay humble, friend.
Yeah, the Venus flytrap is probably more purposeful than I, because it traps flies.
Is the multiverse a paradoxical idea?
Are you just looking up random ideas right now?
Yes, I am.
It's like, where are you
just so you know,
coming up
we're
with
gonna delete up until like the point where we actually start talking about something. I just want you to keep it rolling in case we stumble upon something good.
Funny
but
happens.
This I don't expect this to be included in the episode. Okay, let me hit you with this.
Yes.
Actually,
please
let me give it some time to fade in so you can do this on the intro, and we'll just be talking in the background, and I'll be doing all kinds of wacky things like, Floop is a madman, help us, save us. Floop is a madman, help us, save us. But no, seriously, let me hit you with this, man.
Yes.
All right, you ready for this? Let me lay it on you. If only, my God, we need to get that intern up here to start doing his thing with the video and the YouTube.
Yes,
you guys need to see our facial expressions. This is great.
Are maybe coming
we're
way.
We're looking to bring on a visual guy.
Yes.
Some cameras.
So you can see us.
And we want to record this podcast.
You can see us talking.
Both audio and visual, my friend.
That's right. No, actually, no more audio.
no more audio.
No, we are becoming mimes.
We have to read our lips.
That's right.
But anyway, look, let me hit you with this.
Please.
Okay. So, we've talked about like the multiverse theory before.
We have mentioned
right?
it, yes.
Like, we didn't go into great detail, but we've talked about it.
We've touched on it.
Lightly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we've touched on it. So, I was thinking about this. Suppose there is an infinite amount of universes, worlds, whatever you would like to call it, right? Existing simultaneously in, different dimensions or different planes of time, right? What if... You ready for this?
No, go ahead.
Okay, great. What if each one of those was a failed attempt at a perfect world by the creator of everything? Like, do you understand where I'm going with this?
Absolutely, yes, I understand.
Like, our world that we exist in right now, as we know it, right, was just a failure. Like, well,
right.
I fucked up there. Let me try again.
Yes.
Another world, another dimension, another universe.
Preparations A through G were complete failures.
What do you think about that?
Austin Powers. Yeah, I mean, that would be interesting. I mean, but it does beg the question to me, why would those universes continue to exist? Why not just erase it and
maybe,
start again?
Because, it'd probably be interesting to follow up on it every couple of 100 years and be like, I wonder what the hell happened down here.
How bad they're off now. Oh,
yeah, exactly.
God, yeah. They already got the artificial intelligence. Wow. It took them a lot less time.
Oh, man.
The Great Science Fair Project.
Yeah, exactly.
The Multiverse Science Fair Project.
Just an interesting idea, right?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, that's an interesting thought, for sure. I mean, I don't see why it's not possible. Yeah, it could be possible.
Of course it's possible.
Absolutely.
That'd be pretty crazy, though, right?
It would be crazy. But that would be a depressing thought.
Yeah,
to think that you're just part of a failed attempt at creating a universe.
Right.
It's like, well, that sucks, and then you can't get out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's like,
Oh, you can get out, friend.
oh, well, yeah. Oh, God.
But what does that actually mean?
Does that actually? Well, maybe it just takes you to another universe.
Yeah.
I don't know. That would be insane. That would be interesting. Well, let me ask you this, though.
Mm-hmm.
If you could, like, travel to different universes, other failed attempt universes, would you? Or would you not even bother?
So, like, you're saying that if I knew it was another failed universe, would I travel to it?
Yeah,
willingly?
well, suppose you were, like, the multiverse somehow becomes proven.
Okay.
And, like, everyone is aware that this is a real thing, and they somehow figure out a way to go into another universe.
Right.
Would you be interested in going, or you just wouldn't care?
I mean, yeah, I'm curious. So it
Right.
would be very interesting. I would be interested because I think it would be interesting to see
Right.
what it was like. I'm not saying I would like to stay there.
The
definitely.
other you. Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it would be cool.
True. That would be interesting indeed. But then you could potentially run into paradoxes if you were to kill your other self.
Right. Maybe.
Well, possibly, maybe not,
But
though.
they're totally separate, right?
Well, if it's different universes, then the whole idea of time would be different for each one, so it wouldn't really matter. It's not like a time travel issue, yeah. So never mind, there wouldn't be paradoxes. I guess that's kind of the whole point of the multiverse.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is kind of a paradoxical idea to begin with. Like, so if, like, every alternate timeline happens and anything that can happen does somewhere, which is basically the idea of the multiverse,
Yes.
right? Then wouldn't there be a universe that could not support the idea of any other universe existing?
Well, that in itself obviously is a paradox.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, is there a universe where the multiverse doesn't exist?
Right, exactly. Well, there would have to be, right? If there's an infinite amount and every, possible outcome and possible, I mean,
But I mean, I understand the point of that question. But the simple answer is no, actually, because
why do you say that?
if the multiverse did exist, then that would be the only thing that would remain consistent.
So that would have to be.
It's impossible for there to be a universe that existed not part of the multiverse
Right,
because
exactly.
it wouldn't exist.
Sure.
So that part, well, again, no is the answer to that. So problem solved there. So that, again, that would be the one constant, is that you're part of this multiverse. That's it. But everything else within said universe could change.
Right.
Yeah, you couldn't change the ultimate structure, which is the multiverse.
I guess not.
Unless that's just another universe within a bigger multiverse.
Right. That's what I'm saying. There could be multiple
multiverses. The omniverse.
We're going in the omniverse.
Oh, yeah.
There could be multiple omniverses.
That's
though.
true.
This could get huge, man.
Yes.
Let's stop it at that.
Yes.
For the sake of my freaking sanity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my lord.
It is fantastic. I don't remember if we talked about this on the podcast before, but speaking of like time travel though, like which we weren't speaking of, but I like to talk about it because it's fun.
We have talked about it a little bit in the
I've
past.
come to the conclusion, and I may have said this before, but I've come to the conclusion that it's impossible to go to the future because the future doesn't exist. Right? Because
you don't really know that.
well, I'm saying, as far as we know,
our perception
all there
of
is
the future.
the present. You know what I mean? We can't go back.
Sure,
to the past.
we're locked in the present, but
Yes.
does the future exist regardless of our place in time? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's true. I guess it depends on your perspective. That's
Exactly.
true. That's a good point. But here's the thing: our perspective is only in the present. So if a human being created a quote time machine, it wouldn't be able to go to the future because we as humans only exist in this time, like linear
See, that's
time.
where a lot of, well,
you know what I'm saying?
So, that's where people would disagree. Just because this is all we can perceive,
right.
doesn't mean that we aren't existing in both the past and the future simultaneously.
Which we sort of are, because it's the present. Because as soon as it happens, it instantly becomes
Right.
Yeah, it's all instantaneous, basically. The future becoming the past is the present.
Exactly.
Put that on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
But yes, so in that regard, yes, I would agree with that. But I don't know. So the past happened. The past is factual. Like, there are certain things that we have done just on a personal level. It's like, yes, I did this thing. You know, I got
Right.
this tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
It's there. I know that it happened because it's right there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Proof of the past.
Exactly.
It's not something that's hard to prove.
Yeah, precisely. So therefore, if time travel were possible,
Mm-hmm.
I assume that the first thing people would try to do would be go to the past because they know that it is there. You know, there's something to go to. You know what I mean? But I think most people would be more excited about trying to go to the future.
Right.
Obviously.
Because it's unknown.
Yeah, exactly. And it tickles the mind more, and also, everyone wants to find out their future and all that. That's
Right.
the whole thing. That's kind of the point behind why people want to invent it.
Sure.
But I just don't know if it's possible.
It's probably like, 50% of the people are interested in going to the future. The other 50%, if not more, are interested in going back to the past, correcting things.
Sure, yeah.
You're attempting to correct things,
Well,
meanwhile creating
Bigger
double the
problem.
problems.
Even an alternate 1985.
Right, exactly. No,
Where
we don't want to
Biff
go
is
there.
your stepdad.
Yeah, no.
Yes. That's true. I don't know. Again, it's just something I think about sometimes, about the future not actually existing yet. Because as far as we're concerned, it doesn't exist yet. But, like you said, depending on if you had an ultimate perspective.
And it also
then you would
depends
know.
on what you believe about time
Right.
and our existence inside of that. For example, if you believe that, if you believe in fate, if you believe in a predetermined future, that you are going to, it's already set in stone that you're going to end up somewhere.
Gotcha.
Before before your life's over with, so it's already predetermined. Then versus it's not, that's going to give you two totally different opinions on the future, right?
That's true.
And it's like, because it's either in those two ways of thinking about things, it's either, your future is subject to what you do now and you have free will, or you don't,
Right.
So therefore is the future subject to change or not, right? Based on your current actions. And while it may feel like free will, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
You feel that you're freely making decisions, but and you may very well be freely making decisions, but it could be predetermined already by the creator.
Right.
He already knows what you're going to do, which if he's omnipotent, he should, right?
Yes.
Theoretically.
Yes.
Hypothetically.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you do have free will as we perceive it. Like you said, you definitely perceive yourself as having free will. Like, I could get up and walk away right now.
You could do literally anything you want
to. But I'm not going to, you know what I mean? And I'm making
You're making
that
a
choice.
conscious decision,
exactly.
yes.
But again, the question is not that. It's, is there a being that is aware of what you're going to do?
That is aware of the future, who can
regardless?
see the future.
Right, no matter what. And they know what you're going to do no matter what.
Exactly.
Yes, and I've heard it proposed.
And if so, then what is the point?
But I've also heard it proposed that it's not set in stone, and that basically the creator essentially can see every possibility, and its end result, essentially, like at the same time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's not that he was saying you're going to do this thing. It's that
He can look at the map, see where you are, see all of the possible routes,
like
and all of
simultaneously.
all of the associated destinations.
Yes.
But he doesn't know, or won't allow himself to know what you do. It's more of a just monitoring and waiting to see what you choose.
But like you said, if he's omniscient, then he would know. He already knows, again, the infinite possibilities,
Right.
whatever. So he already knows that. It's already in his mind.
Sure.
So in that regard, yes, he knows what you're going to do, technically.
Right.
But I don't think, personally, and some disagree, but I personally don't think that the creator, makes you do one thing or the other. I think just because he's aware of anything and everything
because
that
what
could
would
happen.
be the point of that?
Exactly, there would be no point.
It would completely be pointless.
Exactly.
So, he created, intelligent beings, gave them all free will, while
Yes.
obviously, since he knows everything, he knows, like you said, all of the possibilities.
Yes.
But why would he ruin the fun, take away the suspense? It would completely be pointless to know. Because basically it would be no different than creating a robot, right? And programming you, okay, you're going to end up, doing this, throughout your life, and this is how you'll die. I mean,
again, there would be no point to that.
So yeah, I mean, that I would agree that would, I would assume that that's the way it is,
Yeah, definitely, because if it were not that way, then I would have to say that being the creator, whatever, would be an evil being.
Right.
If you didn't have ultimate free will as a human, because then again, obviously it all depends on what you believe.
And what purpose would it serve, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like
somebody that's powerful enough to do that, create this.
Yes.
It wouldn't make any sense.
Why would he limit the possibilities, basically?
Unless he was an evil being who just liked to watch people struggle and suffer. Yeah, I mean, which is possible, theoretically.
Right.
But,
yeah, theoretically, yeah. That's true.
But it just seems like an awful lot of work to put into this entire universe thing, right?
Yes.
So I highly doubt that's the case.
Yes, exactly. And I don't know why some people so strongly, believe whatever you want, that's fine, but some people are just so strongly are push the idea of that God, knows exactly what, you're going to do, what, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's a specific plan, a specific thing. It's maybe, but maybe not.
Yeah, he may have had certain intentions for you and designed you accordingly.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you're forced to, turn out positively.
Right.
I mean, we just discussed.
And like you said,
I don't doubt that, if each of us, obviously each one of us human beings are uniquely made and designed probably for a purpose. He probably had some intent when he designed you and I, specifically and unique to each of us, right? But like you said, it would make sense to not instill free will in everybody's spirit. Mm-hmm.
And just because someone's idea of God is being infinite and omniscient, that doesn't mean that he couldn't limit himself as far as what he is allowing himself to know or whatever.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And because that's definitely possible as well.
Absolutely.
Not even so much that, but he doesn't, just because he knows everything doesn't mean he's going to intervene all the time, because he doesn't have to if he doesn't want to. That's kind of the whole point, because people say well, why didn't God do this? Why didn't whatever? But it's well, maybe he just doesn't associate himself on that level. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just again, because he knows all the possibilities doesn't mean he's predetermining every single thing that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that he does personally, but there are a large group of people who does think that.
Right.
Which, again, whatever. I don't know everything. This is just my speculation.
Yeah.
But like you said, ultimately, yes, what would be the point? I don't know. Because ultimately you would get bored. It's you think about, say you make a robot here, on Earth, and to do this
Well,
thing.
just ask yourself the very same question.
Right.
Okay? If you were going to create, and we can just to put this in fathomable
terms.
Yeah, in plain English, easy to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in perspective of a video game, right?
Right.
Okay, so say you are designing a video game. Would you? How would you design it? I mean, would you just with the two options we were just talking about as far as the creator creating this universe and making individuals. You wouldn't sit there and do create a video game and program everybody to do one specific thing and know exactly what they're going to do. I mean, why would you do that?
Right.
It
would be way less
a video game that only you're going to play, mind you, because that's how it works out if we're talking about him. So if you were designing a video game for yourself to play that you never intended anyone else to ever touch, you wouldn't design it to where you already knew it was going to happen, and or not even really designing one. If you were just going to play one, right, or watch a movie, you're not gonna watch a movie.
That you already know the ending to. Basically.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with it?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes perfect sense. And
it just isn't logical.
Exactly.
to do something like that.
And see, that's the interesting thing. That's the distinguishing thing between the human being and God,
Right.
is that we can only create things to do certain things.
Right.
We can't really create things. Well, I'm going to kind of contradict myself in a second, but usually we can't create things that are basically completely autonomous as far as like being able, we don't know what it's going to do, you know what I mean? Because when we create something, it has a purpose.
Sure, because even with the advancements of AI and that kind of stuff,
there's a limitation.
there is. It is a finite amount of variables that are inside of that program, right? So there's, it is finite.
And that's the thing, whereas God has the ability...
Is limitless,
to create a being who...
is limitless.
is going to do whatever it wants to do, which is crazy.
Right.
So, yes, if you have that ability, of course that's what you're going to do.
Right, sure.
Because it would be way less entertaining to create the robotic versions, like we said. Now, what the contradicting part I was going to say is, like, we as humans can procreate and essentially create other human beings.
Right.
And we don't know what other human beings are going to do, what your kids are going to do. So that's the one exception, obviously. But again, is it us actually creating it? Like, not really. Yes and no. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, obviously procreation is a thing that humans engage in.
Sure.
And then the ultimate result is another human being.
Right.
But some would argue that God has a important role in that, making sure that being actually comes to exist, or yada yada, the miracle of birth, as they would say.
Right. Well, yeah, and it's not like we're physically doing anything short of the act of,
Yes.
The initial act.
Yes.
But it's something that's occurring, totally outside of our control.
Right.
Internally in the female body, right?
Yes.
So it's not really us doing it.
We're not creating
building
other
humans from scratch.
Yeah, right.
No, I mean, at least the average Joe is not. I'm unaware of what they're doing in government laboratories as far as cloning and who knows.
That is true as well.
But man did not create man, so
no, that's for sure. I don't think we.
Even if they did figure out how to replicate it,
yes,
you're not creating it.
No. I agree with that assessment.
You're just duplicating.
Yeah, you're duplicating something that already exists, and it's based upon something that is pre-existing that we didn't initially make.
Exactly.
Thus making God, again, ultimately much more powerful than we are as human beings. But yeah, I don't know. Again, but none of that answers the question of purpose. Like,
sure.
Like, as far as an individual, what is your purpose? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like we talk about...
My purpose, the way I see it, is happiness and love.
Right. To basically make a positive impact on other human beings.
Yes, for myself and for everyone else.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, that's an admirable purpose in itself. You know what I mean? But and we talked about it before, but like the system that we live in, where we have to make money to live and all these things, money, the idea of currency, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's, I don't find my purpose in any of those things, certainly.
Right.
Like you were just saying, like, because those things ultimately don't really mean a whole lot in the end. When you ultimately die, it's like,
they're all worthless material things.
Like, okay, so you have all these things,
they don't hold any true value.
Right. And
not in my eyes, anyway.
Right. No, and I agree. And I mean, just think about it in a simpler way. Like, if you have kids, like the building's burning, your house is burning down, you're gonna run in and save the kids. You're not before you're gonna grab the TV.
Sure.
Obviously, you care more about other human beings, at least unless you're a psychopath or a sociopath, obviously. But like, the average person cares more about fellow humans than they do material things,
right? Which
is just a great irony to me, that even though we as human beings know that and we think that way, every person that I know, his goal is to, unfortunately, just make money so that we can survive because, well, that's just the system that we live in,
right.
Unfortunately. And it's strange to me that as a species, we didn't at some point come together and be like, why are we subjecting ourselves to this sort of system?
Well, because It's the only reason that it currently exists, because it's benefiting few at the
Right.
top of the food chain.
Right.
And they will do everything in their power to keep it that way,
True.
indefinitely.
That's a good point. That is definitely.
If everyone could just take the red pill, it would be easily solvable.
That's true. Because then we'd be in the real world, and then we could band together.
Revolt.
Revolt against the machines.
Because nothing terrifies the elite more than the masses. Waking up.
Yes.
Why do you think they're trying to keep you asleep? Sound asleep.
Oh, yeah.
Resting
deeply.
peacefully.
Yeah, that's right.
In front of your computer, in front of your TV.
That's right. Exactly. I mean, it is.
I'm not trying to go full anonymous on you or anything. But, you know.
But it is like ingenious, whoever initially thought of this idea of money as a way of controlling people. Because it's the perfect solution if you're trying to control people and ultimately or have ultimate power, basically.
Of course.
Like, it's like, well, there are people that could physically overpower me as a person easily, especially in a mass group, like you said.
Right.
It's like, so I need to get their focus off of me as the powerful one
Right.
and onto this thing that they're trying to attain. I got to get them to want to be under my control.
Right.
Which is, we're all wanting to be under, not that we want to be under control, but we do because we want money.
Exactly.
Which is what's controlling us. So
or unknowingly.
We desire the very thing that's controlling us.
Yes.
Yes.
Subjecting ourselves to tyranny. Essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. We're willing subjects in a tyrannical system.
Yep.
Ruled by, like you said, the few who have the money because they
control the money.
They control the money. Yeah, that's right. They control what
because
goes
they don't
where.
care about the money.
No, because
they know it's a joke.
Exactly, because they created the system. They know it's useless, and they don't have any need for money because they don't care. It's just like Monopoly money only matters if you're playing Monopoly.
Exactly.
And if you're not playing, then you don't care.
Well, that's what the system is.
Exactly. And so these people are above. They're the creators of the game.
Creators of Monopoly, exactly.
Yes. And so they know it's purposeless, pointless.
They just sit back and laugh.
Exactly. And I guess which brings us to what we're doing right now in this podcast is like probably the most frustrating position one could be in is to be aware of this,
but not have the collective support to be able to do anything about it.
Exactly. So, like we've talked about before, if I could go back in time and not know any of this, like I'd be like the guy in the Matrix that's like sells everybody out so he can go back in the Matrix and forget about it. Like that's me, because I'd be like, you know what? Okay, I know this, but
it's just
I can't.
Too painful.
This sucks. Like, put me back in the Matrix. You know, wipe my memory. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we've talked about before, it would just be so much easier to be unintelligent sometimes. Mm-hmm. Not saying that I'm intelligent, or at least unaware.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Know? Yeah, like, put me back in the Matrix sometime. You know, I wish that sometimes. I will admit that I'm that
If
guy.
you can't get out of,
yeah,
out of the system, then
the steak doesn't have any taste. Remember?
Go back to sleep.
Yeah. That's the thing.
It's sickening.
I would definitely not take the whatever pill like puts you out of the Matrix. I would not take that one. I would take the blue pill or whatever.
No, I would not.
Because I'd be like, wait a second. Okay, yeah, forget that. No, I'll stay here. It's all good.
No.
No, maybe. I don't know.
You'd take the red pill.
I'd like to think I'd take the red pill.
I'd crush it up and put it in your drink, man.
I would, again.
I'd red pill roofie your ass.
I aspire to be a red pillar. But in reality, I think I would just cave and be like, screw it.
Nah.
I don't know.
I wouldn't allow you to.
I don't know if I have the wherewithal to be able to handle the real reality.
Can't handle the truth.
No, I couldn't handle the truth. That's the thing. I can't handle the truth now.
You really think anybody could?
No.
Hell no.
Absolutely not.
If we were living in a simulation.
True. That's a good point. I mean,
you wake up and you got feeding tube in your freaking nose.
At the risk of sounding like a complete lunatic, the thing is, we are living in a simulation. That's an unequivocal fact.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's not a digital simulation.
Exactly, yes.
It is a simulation of a system that, again, it technically does exist.
Right.
But it only exists because we buy into it and we continue to do what the system requires, basically. So in that sense, we do live in a simulation.
Right, but we're not all in, test tubes.
I don't think that. No, I just want to be clear about that.
With a hard wired connection into the back of our brain.
No, I don't think that's
or anything like
the
that.
case. I think we are, in fact, here and now and all of that stuff. I'm not a lunatic. But as far as...
That's to be debated.
Yes, this is my official resignation from the Brothers Grime. The men in white coats are on their way now. But, yeah, I don't know. Again, the thing that sucks is, like, I like to talk about this, and I unfortunately dwell on it often.
Right.
But it's at the same time, it's like, maybe it would just be easier if I just didn't care or was unaware.
Right. I don't think you'll ever not care. Because you are
once
too
you know,
aware.
Once you know, you know.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing, and there's no unknowing it. Yeah. So it's a shame.
And NSA's listening in right now going, okay, we're going to give him 30 days to kill himself. Otherwise, we're going to have to intervene.
There's going to be an unfortunate accident. Yeah.
Yep.
They tried already. I'm telling you. So when I hit my head before, something was at work.
By Woody.
We don't have the copyrights to that. Oh, my goodness. I'm saying Humpty Dumpty was pushed. By Woody. Oh, man. It always comes back to, like, two things on this podcast.
Toy Story?
Toy Story and time travel.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I find it hilarious. One time, I forget what episode it was, but it was like a while ago. We actually did talk about Back to the Future.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so, like, in the tags, I put Back to the Future, you know? Mm-hmm. Since that day, I have not changed the tags at all. So the tags remain, and will always remain. It's like Back to the Future, Gunsmoke, John Wayne. It was that episode.
That's great.
So I just left it because to me that's hilarious. I don't know why.
It's funny.
Even though we never talked about it.
Well, unfortunately, nobody else can see that. That's all metadata. And that's only doing us injustice by leaving that in that order, because people will be searching for relevant material, and we talked about Gunsmoke and or John Wayne once. So if anybody is, unless people are just out there searching for Gunsmoke, you know, in large quantities, it's really only hurting the podcast. So
that's true.
Let's change that. But so thanks for bringing that up.
It's hurting the podcast, but at the same time, it's funny.
It's funny to us, yeah.
Right? So we'll leave it. We'll just
the podcast.
We'll just add more. We'll just add more.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure you can add virtually an unlimited amount of tags.
Here's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna take like a couple hours a day with a dictionary. And just go like a few pages per day. Like I try to type in like 10 pages of words per day or whatever.
Yes.
So that we have every possible word in the English language.
So no matter what you search, the Brothers Grime podcast.
There you go. That's how we do it.
Great stuff.
So you're welcome for leaving the Gunsmoke.
They might draw the line if we start doing that with
that's a good point.
Tag limitations.
Yeah, that's true.
But we'll give it our best shot.
Yeah, we'll give it the old college try.
That's right.
That's what I did anyway. That's why I work construction.
Right.
What are you going to do?
That's another funny thing. College.
Yeah, I went to college once.
It's another funny thing. Degrees, another funny thing.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Speaking of the intrinsic,
I mean, like the idea makes sense, right? But anymore, it's like, hey,
it's just an idea. That's the point.
You qualifications for this job are a 4-year degree. Oh yeah, and what? It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Yeah. So how is that at all beneficial to the employer? That's my question.
It's not. And that's the thing. I've literally,
other than proving that you had, you know, either the discipline or cash to or
to
credit
complete it.
to you know, stick it out for 4 years and finish 4 years worth of school after high school.
And I think I did have somebody tell me once, because I posed the same question, because they had just like graduated or something, and they were like, ultimately it doesn't really matter what your degree is unless you're like becoming a doctor or something, obviously.
Right.
But aside from that, like really the point is, can you stick it out and complete this thing with an above average grade? I guess thus proving that you're able to do things you don't want to do, essentially, for a long period of time.
Test of character, in a way, is really all it is.
Exactly. Because
it just seems like an awful lot of money to spend.
To prove that. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like how about we just eliminate that? We just hire people just to see if they're going to be any good or not, and if they're bad, fire them, try somebody else.
Right.
I mean, there's quite a bit of humans on the earth. You know what I mean?
Sure.
The trial and error process could go on for quite a while. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it doesn't make sense because I've talked to people who work for the government. Like I've told you before, and like I asked them, like, how did you get this job? And they're like, oh, they require that you have a 4-year degree, a bachelor's degree,
Right.
or whatever. I was like, well, what's yours in? And this person was like biology or something like that. I was like, well, what do you do here? And they're like, oh, I work on computers. Like it was like an IT guy or something. It had nothing to do with.
Right.
He's like, no, my degree has nothing to do with my job now.
Right.
And you find that a lot. It's like apparently it's pretty common.
Right. Yeah, it is.
And it's like you said, is that really benefiting the employer, which is actually us? So again, the people need to band together and say, hey, we pay your salaries, people.
Right.
And we demand that you prove yourself in a way other than college. In fact, we as the employers, we don't care about your degree. In fact, if you have a degree, leave. We want everybody else.
I don't know if I would go that far.
I'm just kidding. My friends who work
That's
for the
funny.
government, I don't mean this. But
No hard feelings.
no hard feelings to you. But also, if you can get me a job, do so. But yeah, it is an odd thing,
Right.
And I think a lot of people are waking up to that.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of like, wait, why am I spending all this money? And so you have that aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
but you also have the other side, which is, or another side to it, which is obviously the concept of supply and demand, which we've talked about before. Like,
Right.
so the more you have people with degrees, the less important it becomes, and yada, 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 oversaturation, that sort of thing.
Right.
So it's like the system itself is essentially killing itself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Economically
So, yeah,
speaking.
exactly. So it's already breaking down on its own.
Right.
Also, people are realizing it doesn't actually matter.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think give it another 10 to 20 years and
Possibly.
there might be a reversal of some
Could
sort,
be,
or at least
could
a change of some sort.
Modification of some sort, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, because, well, obviously, the universities are not going to,
No.
they're not going to let that money slip through their fingers
Absolutely not.
anytime soon. So they'll find a way to make people want to pay them a lot of money still
Yep.
for a piece of paper.
That's correct.
Yeah, I don't know. It is a weird thing. And maybe if I actually have gone to college and was doing a job that I liked, I would have a different opinion. But maybe it's just because I'm a blue-collar guy. That's why I'm like, these darn colleges taking our money.
Well, you're not anti-college now, are you?
No, I'm not anti-college.
Anti-school.
No, certainly not. If you want to learn
Hey,
how to
teacher,
do something. But then again,
leave them kids alone.
as was mentioned on a previous podcast of ours, YouTube, if you have YouTube, that's
Right.
the new teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So again, do you really need to go to college?
Right.
Not really. And I did go to a community college for a little while. Did not complete. Did not even get an associate's, nothing like that. But from the limited experience I do have, I had like one, maybe two, like quality teachers that were, would actually teach you.
Right.
But aside from that, it was pretty much you just do it yourself, like self-motivated sort of thing, and they're
Right.
just pretty much there to put in the grades.
Mm-hmm.
If they're even there,
Right.
these hybrid classes and stuff like that. That's again. Maybe I should get a degree just so I can become a college professor, but like of strictly online classes. So you never have to do anything
Probably wouldn't make too much.
except input. Well, that's the thing. You could teach like 20 classes because all you're doing is inputting grades, essentially.
I guess if you're never present.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You literally could just be at home doing nothing all the time. Oh, think about this.
Yep. I can predict where you'll be in the next 10 years.
Yep, 47 pounds heavier than what I am now.
It's a good goal to have.
Yeah.
You could stand to gain a few pounds, my friend.
No, that's true. Actually, if I gained 47, yeah, I'd still be like average human rate.
Yeah, you'd
weight.
be normal weight.
I would finally graduate to normal.
He's severely malnourished.
I wouldn't say malnourished, but maybe undernourished. Yeah. My nourishment is not bad. I'm eating plenty of. Well, I'm eating good things. Maybe not a lot of good things, but
Right.
what I do eat is good.
Good.
Yes. So there's that. Eat lots of leafy greens, people. Eat raw vegetables.
You know who I hope listens to our podcast? There's one person in particular who I've completely lost contact with over the years.
President Bush.
Well, if I find out that President Bush listens to our podcast, I'm going to make an episode specifically dedicated to him.
That would be hilarious.
Oh, it would be something, all right.
Anyway, but
It'd
no.
be the last time I ever listen to the podcast, I can guarantee you that. But no, if there's one person,
Yes.
you may know him, I'm trying to recall his last name. His first name was...
You really did lose contact with this person.
No, I did, yeah.
Lord.
I've nearly all but forgotten completely about him. He went by the nickname Djibouti.
Yes. I could never forget.
Was his... James Anderson?
No,
Was that his name? No.
But hey, by the way, James Anderson, if you're listening to this...
Who's James Anderson?
That's somebody that I know.
Okay.
Shout out James Anderson.
Well, his last name was Anderson, though, right?
It was Jacob Anderson.
Jacob Anderson. Well, I was close. Come on,
Yes.
man. It's been many, many years.
You know, James Anderson is a
Jacob Anderson
is a follower of the podcast.
Oh,
right?
great. Awesome. Jacob Anderson, he was a military brat, you know.
Yes.
And he was born in Djibouti.
Mm-hmm. For those of you who don't know.
It's in Africa, I think.
Yeah, there you go. It's in
somewhere.
Africa.
I don't know.
It's in Africa.
It's a country.
In Africa, yes.
And yeah, it was hilarious. This is the one and only time I've ever heard of Djibouti.
Yes.
I've never heard it mentioned either previously or since meeting Jacob Anderson. But man, he was a funny guy.
Every time you say Djibouti, his face just pops into my
He has
head.
a very distinct face.
Yes, he does.
So Jacob Anderson, if you somehow over there in Djibouti, I don't know if he currently resides there. I always pictured him ending up in the UK.
He went back.
But if you're listening,
That's
man, reach out to us. I'd love to reconnect with you.
We are going to tag him in something somehow. I don't even know if it's on social media.
I doubt he's on social media. He wasn't that kind of guy.
That's true.
But I could be wrong. Things change. People change.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. But yes, Jacob Anderson, I remember that guy.
And if any of our listeners are, keen to his whereabouts, please let us know.
Inform us. We want to know if he's okay.
Yeah. Thinking about you, buddy.
Yes.
I mean, if you guys out there listening are friends with this man, feel free to tag him.
Absolutely.
Good old Djibouti.
Well, you guys called him Djibouti.
Right.
Let's just make that clear.
Yeah, well, I did already.
Oh, okay.
I said his name like 5 times.
Yeah, right. I know, but you just kept saying the name, but not. Yes. But anyway,
man.
Yes, he was an interesting cat. I recall he didn't like the band Green Day very much. I do remember that.
Give him props for that.
Yeah. Hey, I don't mind some old Green Day. I like old Green Day.
I'm shaking my head in disgust right now.
Yes. SMH, which I just realized what that meant like 2 weeks ago.
SMH?
Yes.
Shake my head. Yeah.
I never
That's
even
funny.
knew. It was like something.
It could be so much hate, too.
It'd always be, I don't know, I'd see things and be like...
Suck my hair.
Be like, these homies be tripping SMH.
Right.
And I'm like, what does that mean? I never knew what that meant until
You need to get up on the current
recently.
times, man.
Dude, I'm so behind. And honest to God, like, I used to like joke about like not knowing what's like hip or whatever,
Right.
but I really don't know now.
Well, it's just so confusing.
I honestly, like these new terms, I truly have no idea, no concept. Like I was listening to some like modern music the other day, just sampling it, just checking it out. Like, oh, I wonder what this sounds like, whatever. Just because trying to expand my horizons, whatever. Just some like modern pop sort of R&B type stuff, like hip hop sort of stuff, and like I really like the vernacular. I honestly don't know what they're talking about at all.
It's like a foreign
I'm so
language to
far
you now.
removed. Oops, I'm so far removed from it, and I'm not casting aspersions on anybody, anything like that. I'm casting aspersions on myself, actually, because I truly, I'm just not hip to the, modern coolness or modern language used by cool people.
Is
I
that
don't
something
know.
you're even slightly concerned with?
No,
Okay.
I'm not, but it would be somewhat advantageous, I guess, to be aware of what modern young people are saying or into.
Depends on your lifestyle.
Well, I guess it doesn't really true. I don't go out of my way to hang out with young tweens or whatever, but
Tween.
but yeah, I mean,
God bless you.
I don't know. It's just something that I noticed about myself. It's just funny. I'm old, is what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm realizing this.
You're not, but
No.
you're an old soul, my friend.
I suppose that's what it is. I don't know. I'm also just a massive nerd, apparently.
Definitely.
That my wife informed me of this yesterday. She was like, "You are the biggest nerd." She's like, "You're the biggest dweeb." She said, "You are the biggest noob." And I was like, "But a noob at what?" That's what she couldn't be specific about. It was
Yeah,
funny.
I think that's just like, I don't even think it's an. I don't
You
even.
are
I don't
a
even
noob.
know. I don't
was
even
like,
know
but
grammatically where to place that word anymore. I think it has like a. I don't
maybe
even.
it means again. Maybe you're just a dweeb or something. Like, what a noob.
I think it sort of is the modern replacement for dweeb.
Yeah.
Noob. It doesn't even really stand for newbie anymore. Like,
No.
there's no specific
Nubian.
content. Nubian.
I am a Nubian friend. I am a Nubian prince in my own mind.
That's right.
But yeah, anyway, she informed me that I am in fact a nerd and all these other adjectives. But yes. I was like, I guess you're right. I don't know. Like when I was a kid, I thought it was cool. Mm-hmm. Maybe I was at one point for like maybe 1 year.
Right.
But now I'm not at all. And that's fine. Whatever. It is what
Cool
it is.
as an inferno, man.
What? What did you say?
I didn't say anything.
Okay. I didn't hear what you said. Did you say Dante's Inferno?
No, I said you're cool as an inferno.
Oh, gotcha. I see what you're saying now. Exactly. Cool as an inferno. Yeah, I thought you, like, okay, I heard a little bit of what you said, and I thought you were, like, speaking Latin.
I wish,
and
man.
I was like, I didn't know he
belt
knew
out some
Latin.
Latin.
Yeah.
I mean, I do.
Cool as das inferno. And I was like, I don't know what you're trying to say over there, but all right. Hell yeah, man. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You know what I wish was real?
The McDLT?
Wait, what?
I'll tell you about it later. But what do you wish was cool?
No,
I mean, real. I'm stuck on that word.
It would be cool if it was real.
Yes.
The act of speaking in tongues. Like, I wish that, like I wish that was a real thing so
You
bad.
could just be like,
it's obvious horseshit, but man,
yeah.
like that would be so hilarious, man.
Oh, man. But why would it be cool though?
It would just be funny. It wouldn't really be cool.
I was going to say, like, there's nothing cool about that.
I think it's just Tourette's, though, right?
It could be, yeah. Maybe like somebody, yeah, like in ancient times had Tourette's, but they didn't know what it was. Yeah. Like, I guess he's just speaking in, like, the tongues. Yeah.
He's filled with the Spirit, friend.
They were speaking in tongues.
The Spirit water.
The spirit of something. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it is weird. Yeah, it would be funny, though. You're right. Like, if all of a sudden... What would be funny would be... Okay, exclude any sort of religious, like, connotations or anything like that. So just don't even think about that.
Right.
But if people just out of the blue... Like every person would just randomly start talking, like, in a different tongue, like, completely unexpectedly, it would be hilarious. Like, I mean, but then again, would it be funny if it was common?
No.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just funnier the way that it is.
Yeah, I think we'll just keep it the way it is.
Let's go visit a
Pentecostal church.
A religious church.
I want to visit a non-religious church. That'd be interesting.
There are some.
Yes.
What is a church, right?
Well,
a congregation of people.
That's true.
Believe in the same thing.
That's a good point.
That doesn't necessarily have to be centered around religion. Obviously, they all are, but
true. It would be fascinating to do a live commentary on.
Let's go to a church.
Yes.
If for nothing more than to take some secret recordings of people claiming to speak in tongues.
Yes.
And we'll post them on our podcast.
I mean, we could do that, but there are multitudes of YouTube videos of people doing. I mean, you can just watch it right now.
Yeah.
But it would be funny to commentate on it. It would be hilarious. Which is commentate a word, or is it just comment? I think it's just comment.
It's comment.
Okay.
But no, I want to go and I want to like join in and just like try to be like louder. You know
like
what I mean?
you start it, yeah.
yeah.
Like right in the middle of the service.
Yes, I want to see if I can induce.
Yes.
A wave of
get slain in the spirit.
Babbling. I want to do it. We're doing this. We're doing this.
Well, you could. It would be simple.
Let's go.
You literally just show up. You just start babbling.
We're gonna do
loudly.
It. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna record it. So let it be written. So let it be done. So let it be spoken.
Well,
so let
this
it be
is
done.
why we need the videographer.
Well, that's going to be his tryout, man. He's coming with us to church.
You need to just Because you babbling would be funny, but the people's reaction to you babbling is what would be the funniest
It's a
part.
genius
That's what
idea.
we're there to capture.
That's right.
Obviously they're going to believe it.
I'm going to scream at the top
They're
of
going
my
to
lungs.
assume that you're, having some sort of
I'm going to stand
spiritual
on the pew
experience.
and scream at the top of my lungs in complete and total utter nonsense. I'm going to start rolling on the floor.
Dude, absolutely.
I'm going to go ham, dude.
Dude,
It's going to happen.
Want this to happen so bad.
It's happening. We're doing it.
Yes.
Next Sunday.
I'm so glad. Dude, I don't even know. I would just be laughing so hard. But that's the problem, though.
Well, you're not going to be able to be near
There's
me.
no way I could be there because...
No, you can be there. You have to get on the other side of the place,
I
man.
just have to hide
Yeah.
my
No, it'd
face
be great.
because
It'd
I would
be
be
great.
laughing too hard.
Well, he's going to have to hide the cameras, too. We don't want to make it obvious, right?
We just walk in. He's got like one of those big cameras on his shoulder.
Right.
Like,
Just start belting out
don't,
nonsense.
don't mind this. Yeah, right. This isn't here. I'm just here to capture
It's going to be
the
great.
sermon. Yeah.
We're totally doing this.
Dude,
Hold me to it now.
they will literally love you. That'll be the
Probably.
best part. You'll be lauded as like the most spiritual person amongst them, like because you'll be screaming.
They probably nominate me to be the
babbling.
pastor or something.
You screamed louder and babbled more incoherently than anyone we've ever seen.
Pastor Grime, I got to tell you.
Pastor Grime.
Oh, man.
Good Lord. Wow.
So enough of our babbling.
Yes. Incoherent babbling. It's basically, we should have called our podcast Incoherent Babbles.
We could change it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not going to.
Right. Well, I don't think it will affect our 2 followers. We'll just tell them, hey, we're changing the name.
Right.
Okay. Like, hey, Mom and Dad, we're changing the name of the podcast. Okay.
I don't think they listen anymore.
No, they don't. They don't even. Our own parents don't
They're
even listen.
offended.
If they even did ever listen, honestly, I doubt it. I know for a fact
Let's keep it that way.
I know for a fact my own wife doesn't even listen to the podcast.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
Well, and it actually kind of makes sense though because I was like, "You ever listen to it?" She's like, "No." I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "Well, my whole life is listening to the Brothers Grime podcast." I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense though.
Right. She gets free episodes anytime we're united.
Exactly. Like imagine this, and has to be like the 7th level of hell for her. It's like imagine like what you're hearing right now, but all the time, right? With my stupid voice saying stupid things all the time in her ear. That must be terrible. So I'm sorry. I'm here to say I'm sorry.
But she's not listening.
No, again, well, exactly. She won't even hear that heartfelt
Falling
apology.
on deaf ears, my friend.
Yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, what are you gonna do?
His wife is not deaf. She's just it's a
she's
figure of
willingly
speech.
deaf. Yeah, she chooses not to hear
For you
me,
listeners out there.
which is fine. I wouldn't want to listen to me either, so it's fine. I'm just discouraging everyone to listen to this podcast right now because of me. Which reminds me of a time when I was in high school. I don't remember if I've said this before. Quick side note. I'm at the point in life now because of this podcast, and we talk about so much stuff all the time, and just on the phone and whatever. I don't remember. I'm honestly, I don't know if it's like early onset dementia, but I literally am getting to the point where I'm having a hard time distinguishing like what I've dreamt and what has actually happened because like I just say whatever pops into my head, which is basically like what happens in a dream.
Right.
But that's my reality. So I'm like, did I talk
We
about...
talk about our podcast. We talk about our dreams on our podcast, and we talk about our podcast in our dreams.
Exactly. So I'm always like, did I talk about this yet? I don't remember. I feel like I did, but maybe I dreamed it. I don't know. Anyway, so stop me if I have talked about it before. But anyway, I literally don't remember what I was going to say.
It'll come to you eventually.
Okay, we have to talk about something else then. What was the last thing I was talking about before this?
Oh, you think I know?
Oh, God. Oh, not paying attention, not listening.
Your wife was not deaf. We were assuring everybody that.
No, it's gone.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Why did I go down that rabbit
It
trail?
doesn't matter. That's what trails are for.
I guess you're right. To get lost.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh, I remember. Thank
knew
you.
you would come to
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, discouraging people. So, when I was in high school, they had like the class, like elections, like for the class president and blah, 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 all that stuff. And just for fun and like as
Did you run for president?
Complete joke, I ran for class president because I didn't like the school I went to.
Right.
As was established in their previous podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But So I didn't care at all about being class president. I didn't want to like make a positive difference or nothing like that at all. I was just like,
Right.
I just want to see if anyone would even vote for me just for
Right.
fun, because I'm an egotistical douche. But anyway, so basically we had to give speeches. And like there was like 3 people or whatever like running for class president, and one was like the other 2 were like straight A students, and they were like top notch honor society people, like whatever. And then me. And so anyway, so these other 2 people gave speeches, and they're like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna make sure this, and blah 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 blah, all these like things.
Right.
And basically, like that's about the point after listening to their speeches that I realized, like, even though this is funny, it's ran its course, and I'm actually kind of afraid people are going to vote for me, and then I'm actually going to have to do stuff.
Right.
Like
Joke's on you, man.
extracurricular things. Like, this is no good. So I then proceeded to, so I had to give a speech. I was up next. I gave a speech. And the whole speech was just to convince nobody to vote for me.
That is awesome.
To convince everyone that I would be the worst possible choice out of everyone running.
So did you get any votes? Lo and behold.
I think I did.
Did you really?
Even though I tried not to get them, and I finally,
class clowns
I was
voted
like, and finally, like in conclusion, like you should never vote for me because I'm just a terrible human being, and like standing ovation, I was like, come on. But anyway, and my teacher was like, well, that was depressing. Okay, next up, whatever.
Trying to pull the old reverse psychology.
Yeah. Well, thank God I was not elected class president, but yes.
Interesting fact. I did not know.
The joke would have been on me. You're right.
That is funny, man.
Although I was part of the honor society.
Really?
Which I still to this day don't know what that is or what that means, but I was part of it
You were
for
very
like
honorable.
3 years. I don't know. Again, I'm not sure what that means. But I do know this. By being part of that, I was given the honor of giving the morning announcements.
Oh, wow.
Like over the intercom system. It was awesome. That was like my first like foray into like public broadcasting.
That's great.
It wasn't public.
Put
but
that on your resume, man.
private broadcasting. But
9th grade honor society.
that's right. Yeah, I broadcast to the whole entire school.
Broadcaster of morning announcements.
Of 20 people. But yes, that was a lot of fun, and I had a good time on that. But anyway, that was the only perk to being in the honor society. It was that
That's
I got to
cool.
do that. But yes. Anyway. I also had a radio show briefly.
I think I do recall that, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that was a fail.
Really?
Well, basically, there was like this local, basically, it was like a local music venue for like heavier music, whatever. When I was younger, I used to play in heavier bands, this kind of thing. And this guy who kind of was the overseer of all of that was like, we should make like a radio show where we play like heavier music and blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, cool. And he like basically nominated me to be like the DJ or like the host of this show. And so I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So anyway, I went to a legit radio station and all of that.
That's
and,
awesome.
but we would like pre-tape, the shows because the show would come on at like midnight.
Gotcha.
On like one night a week or something. Like midnights on Thursday nights, whatever it was. Anyway, so I did that briefly, and I made zero money, obviously. And I was like 16 at the time.
That's great.
But anyway, it was kind of fun. I enjoyed myself. But anyway, it was on the oldies station.
Really?
Oldies 95.3.
That's insane.
But so like we knew one of the hosts on that channel, Lonnie Hill. I think he's still on it.
Really?
And so because of connections, whatever, he was able to get me in there, and he would like help me like tape the shows and everything. And
That's pretty
it
cool.
was a lot of fun. I got to know him. He was super cool. So Lonnie Hill, shout out to you for being super cool. And people should go listen to 95.3 Oldies, station at a Front Royal. But anyway, yeah, that was my short-lived radio career.
Yeah, sounds pretty short.
It was.
Oh man. So something I learned that it's completely useless knowledge to me
That's
anyway,
the
but it's
entire
funny.
podcast. Yes.
There is actually a precise speed where jogging becomes running. Did you know that?
I have thought about this in the past.
I figured you had.
Yes. Where does it cross the threshold? Like, what's the point?
6 miles per hour.
Okay, really?
That is the standard.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. How fast does, like, the average person run, or do you know that?
I don't know.
I wonder, I mean, that has nothing to do with jogging, but I just wonder, they had to have arrived at that based on an average of some sort. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because maybe some people run super slow at a speed that others jog.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I guess the maximum, I don't know. I think like in theory, the fastest a human could run is like 40 miles per hour.
What?
Yeah.
No possible way.
Yeah, no, I think so, man.
40 miles an hour?
Yeah,
Holy
man.
Mackerel. Wow.
I know, like, I think like the world's fastest runner, I don't know. This could have been broken, but the last I heard, it was like
I don't know.
28 miles per hour in like a 100-meter sprint or whatever.
That's quite a ways from 40. But
yeah,
yes.
it is. But I mean, like, as far as scientists calculate, like if you were to build your muscles, you know, and all the conditions were right, you could possibly achieve, you know, up to 40 miles per hour, I think, or something.
That's
something
like the
along,
human
along
potential
those
or
lines.
whatever.
Right,
Gotcha.
exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy.
Even still, 28 miles per hour.
That's insane.
That's
man.
insanely fast.
It is, man. It is.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. Yeah, you know, I think so. Like reasonably healthy adults, I think like the average walking speed is around like 3 miles per hour.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of makes sense, right? To put it into perspective, like 3 miles per hour is like the average walking speed. So then, you know, you double that, you're jogging. And then anything over that, you're running, right?
Gotcha.
Jogging, I guess, would be in between, you know, 3 and 6.
But it seems like jogging is the same speed as walking, but you're just putting more effort into it.
Well, there's different speeds of jogging, right?
Well, true, and different speeds of walking.
Yes,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? What I'm saying is somebody could probably walk the same speed, if not faster, than somebody jogging.
Right. But then technically it would be jogging.
Would it, though? Is it strictly based on speed, or is it based on, like, amount of effort?
I think it's based on speed. Well,
okay.
Yeah, it is definitely based on speed. The standards are because jogging
I guess
and
that's the only way
running.
they could do it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
Because
it
you
would
know
be
what I
too
mean,
difficult
like-
to calculate, like, you know, how much energy you're, you know, consuming or what, you know, whatever.
Yeah, you have to have some sort of standard. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you can jog in place.
Right.
Or run in place. Like,
That's what people say, yeah.
you know what I mean? But
They
like,
call it jogging,
you
but
can
really you're
do
just
it.
jumping.
Yeah. Well, you're just like stepping, but just up and down instead of forward. So that's what I'm saying. You could jog and actually get like way more tired,
Right.
but be going slower than someone who's walking.
Mm-hmm.
And they would be less tired.
That's true.
But they're going faster than you. So that's where the whole basing it on speed kind of breaks down to some degree.
Right.
But they probably just didn't think that deeply into it. But yeah, you know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
Because jogging, what is the point of jogging, actually? Because they say like running is like bad for your knees and stuff like that.
Right.
And you should walk instead. But jogging is the worst of both worlds because it's hard on your knees and you're also going slow.
Right.
So there's really no benefit to it, other than, I guess, getting your heart rate up, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing about, like, burning off fat and calories or whatever. Like, it has to do with, like, maintaining your heart rate at a certain level, you know, for a certain amount of time. And I guess you can reach that easier by jogging than just walking. Because I guess just walking, your heart rate doesn't get up that much compared to jogging. Again, speed having nothing to do with it.
Right.
So really the best thing you could do, I presume, would be to just walk uphill. You know, walk up an incline. That way it's not hard on your knees, but you're keeping your heart rate up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, talking about running and and that kind of stuff. The just exercising in general. Swimming, man, is so beneficial.
Just talking about this yesterday.
And it's such a perfect way to exercise. And you were talking about, I was thinking about it because you were mentioning, exercising while simultaneously inflicting injury on your body, like your knees and everything. Right. How it's hard on your knees. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you don't have that.
It's low impact.
Obviously, it's low impact. Yeah, you're floating.
It's no impact.
It's no impact.
Yeah, exactly.
And just subjecting your body to constant resistance, 100%. It's pretty
awesome.
Cool. And it's great. I mean, who doesn't like to swim?
It's tired. It is tired.
It is. Oh, yeah.
You get to swim laps. Oh, man.
Yeah, man. They're in great shape. People who swim frequently.
Absolutely. Yeah. So maybe that is the perfect cardio exercise.
I think so.
Swimming laps.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Speaking of swimming, since it is beach season, or it's rapidly approaching, I guess. I don't know if it's
we're in June.
Started yet. Yeah. I guess pretty much beach season now. People are.
It's
gearing up to go
somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So with that in mind, here's a little fun fact about the ocean world, specifically ocean life, and even more specific, dolphins.
More specific, my cousin,
porpoises,
who is a dolphin. Yeah.
No. So a lot of people think of dolphins as like fun-loving and friendly. But
I think of them as evil.
No. I like dolphins, but here's a little interesting piece of information for you about dolphins.
Please.
So, like I said, fun-loving, friendly, generally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
The only exception is when they become sexually frustrated. They can get pretty nasty.
Isn't that the case with all creatures?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably.
But maybe worse
I know
with
about.
the dolphin.
Well, dolphins go hard.
Wow.
So, scientists have found that young male dolphins go on the attack when they're sexually frustrated, like killing fellow porpoises and whatnot.
That is insane.
So there was a list that was like 30 adorable animals that are actually deadly, and dolphins actually made it into that list. Yeah,
that's insane.
Because they can be pretty ferocious, and I mean, they're badass. Like they're extremely strong and highly protective, and totally, will ward off sharks all the time and attack sharks. Yes. So I mean, they're definitely a force to be reckoned with in their environment.
Oh, sure, absolutely,
extremely intelligent too. But they got to get that poontang, man.
Otherwise,
they
you
go
could
ape
get
shit.
Killed if you're a fellow dolphin. Apparently.
Yeah, they just get mad and take out their rage and sexual frustration on other fellow porpoises.
Now, is it a porpoise or is it a dolphin?
I don't know.
Is a dolphin a porpoise?
Yeah, I think so.
Remember that Ace Ventura quote where she's like, in the first one, where the female cop is like, or the detective, she's like, "We'll find the porpoise," and he's like, that's fine. He's like, however, nobody's missing a porpoise. They're missing a bottlenose dolphin. And then he goes on this whole spiel about the dolphins. So I don't think a porpoise is a dolphin, but I don't know.
Yeah, they are. Two different things.
Yeah.
It's confirmed.
Again, any information I know about the scientific world comes from some sort of comedy show and or movie. So
they're very closely related, but they're technically different, right?
Yes.
They look pretty much the same.
Something to do with their shape of
their dorsal fins are slightly different.
That's right. The fin.
And
teeth possibly.
Yeah, whatever.
Slight variations.
Dolphins have like smaller or larger mouths than porpoises and teeth and that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're basically the same thing.
There you go. Problem solved.
For all I care, anyway, they're the same thing.
Yeah, sure. As far as this podcast is concerned.
And talking about swimming, and we were talking about people that swim and stuff like that, which makes you think of like Olympic, athletes that, are big into swimming, obviously.
Swimmers.
So did you know that the youngest athlete to ever become a medalist in the Olympics was a Greek gymnast, and she was, was 10 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. When was that?
1896.
Oh, well, there you
go. The third Olympic Games competition.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. The third official, because then they technically have like some sort of game similar, like way back in ancient times, something like
I
that.
think so, yeah.
That's what I always thought. I don't know.
Yeah.
Until it became a real thing.
Yeah, pretty crazy. But, talking about exercising like we just were and Olympics and all that kind of stuff, it's really, really not that difficult to be healthy and stay in shape. It's
Unless
really
you
not.
have some sort of,
For the average person, right?
Yes.
Excluding special cases,
of
obviously.
course, yes.
For the average, healthy person.
Yes.
Right? And it is ironic that there's just so much bad stuff for you to consume out there.
Oh, yeah.
And the way that it's so heavily marketed, like, it's almost counterproductive. It's like, okay, so these companies that sell this garbage that they're trying to, get you to put into your body is going to ultimately reduce your market, right? Because you're killing your consumers.
Right, your potential clients, yeah.
It's insane.
That's a good point, yeah. You just mean like as far as like...
Just really unhealthy food.
Oh, okay.
Bad stuff,
Oh, right. I see what you're saying now. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like health food type things.
No,
or like
the
workout
opposite.
type stuff. Okay, yeah, gotcha. Right, yeah. Our clientele are, like say McDonald's or whatever,
Right.
any sort of fast food. This certain type of person eats here, but if they keep eating here, they'll die.
And
Yeah.
Americans are just so lazy. That's really what it boils down to, man.
Right.
That's why you have obesity. Partially, obviously, childhood obesity is a little bit different. I mean, they are lazy too, but it's a direct result of lack of proper parenting and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, man, and it's just so much junk out there, man, all the time. Like, speaking of junk, Kit Kat bars.
Yes.
Do you like them?
I love them.
I have never liked Kit Kat bars. So, as a fan of a Kit Kat, are you aware of where the contents of the inside of a Kit Kat is?
I have no idea what it is or where it comes from.
More Kit Kats.
What?
So, check this out. During the production of Kit Kats,
Yes.
lots of them are damaged. Air bubbles. The logo got stamped on there. It's messed up. Some of them are broken. So do you know what they do? Instead of throwing those away,
Melt
grind
down.
them up into a paste and inject them in. That's where they get the filling for the inside of the Kit Kat bar. It's just other Kit Kats ground up
that's
and stuck
genius.
inside.
Oh, I love that.
Is that not crazy?
That's genious.
Mm-hmm.
You never waste. You have no waste.
No.
The waste
They're very
itself
efficient,
is the product. That's genius.
Yes. It's pretty
That just
interesting.
made me love them even more.
There you go, man. I'm just glad to further fuel your passion for Kit Kats. Oh, my God.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that's awesome.
And I mean, but yeah, I mean, it's all in moderation, Seriously, eat healthy, exercise somewhat regularly, right? Mm-hmm. And enjoy enjoy what you like. I'm not saying it's bad to eat a Kit Kat bar. I'm not saying it's bad to, whatever. I'm just saying, everything in moderation. It's really not that difficult of a concept to grasp. And it goes back to everyone being lazy. They have these magic, pills that promise to, reduce weight and, all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, no, it's everything takes work.
Yes.
Everything that you want to achieve, you have to work for.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, other than going and getting surgically, fixed, right? Like surgery in order to, liposuction or whatever.
Yes.
Which, I mean, I don't really know that that's even necessarily healthy, right? Like, yeah, you're getting rid of excess body fat. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I guess it has to be. But you're also putting yourself at probably way more risks, while doing so,
True.
I mean, you're going in for surgery, for God's sake, of any kind. There's got to be lots of risks associated with liposuction or anything like that.
It would have to be that in conjunction with changing your lifestyle,
Right?
Because obviously, like the damage done to your heart is already done,
right?
If you're eating unhealthily and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The excess
it's just
body
cosmetic,
weight.
really.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, for the most part,
the internal issues are still going to be there. Yeah.
It's not doing anything for your arteries in your heart.
No, exactly. And as far as like quote eating healthy, I mean, there are so many, fad diets and all these things, and so much conflicting information out there. And somebody I was working with the other day and I were discussing this very thing. about conflicting information regarding diets and whatnot. And what I've always said is, and I believe it to be true, which is why I've always said it, but if you can stay as close as possible to eating natural things, eating fruits and vegetables and things like that the way they come from nature, you know what I mean? Eating raw vegetables, raw fruits, things like that. Like, I think if you can stick as close as you can to that, you're probably going to be all right. I mean, like you said, it's pretty simple. Put down the donuts and instead pick up the broccoli, something like that. And there you go. It's
broccoli.
It's not that hard.
McDonald's once made bubblegum flavored broccoli.
Is that real?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Why?
I don't know if it was in the U.S.
Had to be like Japan or something. There's no way. I mean, I guess it's possible, but...
Did you know that 9 countries have actually banned McDonald's?
That's great. More power to them.
Yep. Bermuda is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Iran, surprisingly, banned McDonald's.
I could see that.
Yeah. North Korea, of course.
Well, which I'm actually somewhat surprised by. Well, what's-his-face probably has like his own personal McDonald's. He probably lives in a McDonald's.
Probably.
His house isn't just a McDonald's.
Yeah, and I think like Zimbabwe or somewhere else.
I could see that.
Iceland. Iceland is the other one, too.
No, that comes as a surprise, actually.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Had to bring that up since we were talking about junk food and what have you.
And, I've had this discussion with people before, and this is, of course, going to go back to the government control versus not. But, like, I really don't have an issue with, say, the government putting some sort of regulation in place that says, all right, you can't sell a product that is below this certain level of, nutrition or something like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like some sort of nutritional standard.
Right. Because the people can't make the decision on their own. They have to display like.
But they're choosing McDonald's. That's what I'm saying.
They have to display like calories. I think is like a law now, right? Like they have to display
that's
how many calories
impact.
and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it is. Do people really care though? It doesn't look like it's hurting McDonald's business anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I mean, trust me, I'm all about, look, you should be responsible for yourself. You make your own decisions, and that's fine. But to some degree, it's like, I mean, like you said, people just continue eating at places like McDonald's, and it's like, even though they know the end result if they eat like that forever, you know. And should somebody, well, maybe it's a question, maybe it's up for debate. Like, should the government have say in that realm, or should it just not be involved at all?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there should be any more laws created at all.
Well, you're just anti-law in general, but I'm asking an anarchist if he thinks there should be more, law. And so obviously the answer is no. But I don't know. I'm kind of torn in that area, honestly, because it's like, on the one hand, like I said, I don't want the government can tell me what I can and cannot do. But at the same time, some people, it's like they can't control themselves when it comes to certain things.
That's unfortunate. They need to learn self-control.
I know, but maybe they can't.
Well, that's not my problem.
Well, there you go. I know. I guess I just care too much about others. I don't know. You're like, and I don't.
Oh,
welcome to America.
It wouldn't be a true Brothers Grime podcast episode if we didn't talk about mushrooms at least once. True. And since we're talking about eating, let's talk about eating mushrooms real quick for just a second.
You have to throw it in
I found out about this crazy mushroom, this tropical fungus, and I don't even know how to pronounce the name, so I'm not even going to try to butcher it. But basically, talking about ants eating this. For some reason, they're attracted to it, and the ants eat this fungus that grows in tropical areas, and it actually affects their central nervous system. So, by the time the fungi has been inside the insect's body for like 9 days, it has complete control over the host's movements. So like the ants. Yeah. So it like literally turns them into fucking zombies, man. It forces the ants to climb trees and then convulse and fall, into the soil below where fungi thrive. And then once like the freaking Yeah. So once they fall in there and
Fall back into the
die,
soil,
then
more fungus will grow.
Yeah, exactly.
It's found a way to plant itself. That is
Yeah.
genius.
But
Self-perpetuating.
I guess it gets even crazier. Like specifically, I guess scientists have actually observed this happening. So like the ants will eat it, the fungi will take control and force the ant to climb the tree, and then they start convulsing and fall down into the soil below where the fungi thrive, right? And then once there, the fungus waits until exactly solar noon to force the ant to bite a leaf and kill it. Like they've actually watched that and
really?
watch that repeat itself time and time again. They just do the exact same thing.
No, when you say kill it, so
The ant.
The ant bites a leaf,
Yeah.
which kills the ant?
Yeah.
What's the leaf?
I don't know.
Must be like
Some
a
kind of
specific
poisonous,
poison.
yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I thought you meant like it like had to kill one plant but then
No.
die. Okay.
No.
Gotcha. I
Yeah,
see what
pretty
you're saying.
insane, man.
Wow. That's wow.
There's so much crazy stuff
insane.
in nature, dude. Like
Yes, there
we can't
is.
get away from that topic. Like I just want to know all of it.
Yes.
I want to go
'Cause it's
there. I just
fascinating.
want to be like a biologist or somebody who
Yes.
spends a lot of time in nature. I mean, like, it's just so fascinating, man.
Is anyone here a marine biologist? Seinfeld. Yeah, it is incredible. I know. If you could just spend all your life just exploring the natural world and just observing these crazy things, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be pretty
It would
awesome.
be an awesome life for sure. Imagine being David Attenborough. You know who he is?
No.
Okay, so he's like I don't know what he actually is, like a biologist or something like that. But anyway, he's this British dude who's been like hosting like nature shows and stuff since like the 70s or whatever. He's been doing it forever and forever and forever. And his voice is like super recognizable. And anyway, that's basically all he does. He just like walks around and just like observes things and
That's
just
great.
talks about it. It's awesome. And he has a cool voice.
Yeah, speaking of voices, there's this dude, he's got the world's deepest voice.
Wow.
His name is Tim Storms. I'm pretty sure that's his name. But anyway, he can make his voice so low that human ears cannot even hear it.
Right. Which
It's
begs the
insane.
question, is he even actually doing it?
Oh, yeah, because they can detect it with
yeah.
instruments. Obviously,
I'm
it's a
just
proven
kidding.
fact.
Yeah, I know. Just joking.
But evidently, this note that he hits is like 8 octaves below the lowest G on a piano. It's like insane, man. And
8 octaves. Interesting.
Yes,
That is, wow.
it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I just had to throw that in there.
Thank you for telling me that.
You're welcome.
Now I know.
And now it has not changed anything about your life.
No. Now I can just tell somebody else about
right,
this person
right.
who allegedly we believe to be named Tim Storms. Again, still not sure about that. Anyway,
You can look him up. Guy with the lowest voice. Type it in Google.
I will type it in
You
somewhere.
don't have to. You can type it in. You don't have to really type it in.
I'll
I'm just
type it
messing
in.
with
So,
you.
look, it's me typing into Google.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's just insane. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting facts out there to be learned.
Indeed.
And why is it that we like interesting facts so much?
Because they're interesting.
I guess. But not everyone would find this stuff interesting.
No.
Some people would be like, well, who cares? You know?
Unique personalities.
Maybe we're just weird.
Well, no, there's no maybe about that.
Well, yeah, that's true. We are definitely we're an odd breed.
Yep.
Good God.
And so before we end this episode, I'd like to remind you guys out there listening that if you enjoy our show, please give us a review and rate the show on iTunes. It helps us out big time.
Absolutely. We appreciate those of you who have been listening, and we hope you enjoy the content as much as we enjoy bringing it to you.
Hey, if you made it this far, thanks so much for tuning in. We really hope you enjoyed the show.
Stay grimy.